Hi and welcome back. Today I'm going to be talking about the connection between obesity and insulin. But I just want to start by saying that even in today's day and age, we still have this stigma about obesity and people are fat shaming. Now, people see people who are overweight as lazy or overeaters or low self-esteem, and even in the healthcare system, they're looked down upon as not doing enough and they're neglecting their health. But all of this isn't really true, because fat has a way of holding onto the body because of a hormone called insulin. And I'll just explain that. Now, insulin is spiked in the body, which causes our glucose levels to rise, and it actually makes us hungrier. Even people who aren't suffering with type 2 diabetes. A lot of us, millions of us, are living with pre-diabetes. And then after years or decades, before we're even diagnosed as pre-diabetic, later on it can develop into type 2 diabetes. Well, here's a scenario. Now, a lot of us may order a Chinese takeout or go to a Chinese buffet, and we eat and we eat and we eat because those full receptors in the brain do not switch off. We just continue to eat until we're bursting at the seams. And then about an hour later, you're feeling hungry again. And that's because things like rice will burn out into the body, into sugar, and affect our blood sugar or glucose levels, causing our blood sugar to go up. Now, if you're already susceptible and you are type 2 diabetic, now that's going to have an even bigger impact on your hunger, because you're going to feel hungrier than others. And that's going to want you to cause to eat more because your insulin levels are so high. And now you want to eat more. And a lot of us can relate to that, right? Where we've gone out, we've eaten, a takeout, or we've ordered a takeout and we're feeling, hungry an hour later. Now, insulin resistance, which is the pre-diabetic, is when the insulin isn't going into the cell and going to where it's needed. But if you have type 2 diabetes, it stays in the blood and it continues to get higher and higher. And then a lot of people having to go on medication, like to inject themselves with insulin. And the thing about the insulin is that although this is type 2 is a reversible disease, the science tells us that we're not looking at prevention. You're actually told to eat a level of carbohydrates because you have to counteract the side effects of the medication. So what happens? You're on carbohydrate, you eat the carbohydrates to counteract the side effects of the medication, and then you spike your blood levels, and then you have to take medication. And you're on this perpetual cycle, and it doesn't get better because you start to have to take more and more medication, and it leads on to other health problems as well. It can get very severe and out of control. People have even had loss of sight, loss of limbs, and you're more prone to heart disease and strokes. So carbohydrates, fats, and proteins are some of these foods, the main kind of food groups. And our bodies need essential amino acids, which are our proteins, which go well for diabetes. And we need essential acids. But nowhere does it say we need carbs as an essential in our diet. Now, does that mean that we should have high fat, which doesn't actually affect the blood levels at all, and low carb or no carb at all? No, it doesn't, because the fats that you may be consuming are dangerous fats that can actually trigger heart disease and strokes if you're not eating the right fats. Yes, fats are delicious. Yes, fats are enjoyable. But that's not to say you can't have fats. It's looking at the quality of fats that you're having. Now, omega-3 type fats like your nuts and your seeds are the better type of fats to be consuming. And in a previous video, I listed the different types of omega-3 oils. So if you want to go back to that video, how to reverse diabetes, take a look at that and look at the quality of fats that I've mentioned there. So how should we be eating, and why is it seems crazy that you have to eat a certain level of carbs to counteract the side effect of these drugs. And it's actually, the most detrimental thing for you. So what do you do if fats don't spike the blood, but yet fats seem to be bad, and proteins like red meat can affect, they're not heart healthy, but proteins from our plant-based foods, like our beans and our legumes, are going to help to level your blood glucose much better than, fatty meat proteins. Now, I had a woman who came to one of my workshops, and this was a natural skincare DIY workshop, and I laid on a plant-based spread. Now, I didn't know that Shauna suffered with diabetes, and she was taking insulin, and she had type 2. Now, she enjoyed the food so much. She even said after on camera with the feedback, she enjoyed it so much, but it was the food that she really enjoyed. And she said, I might just go plant-based. And she did. I worked along with her, and she found that when she was eating complex carbs and healthy fats, her insulin levels in the mornings were not high. But as soon as she started eating chips or crisps or some sort of refined, flour, like baked goods, it went up. So then she knew what was affecting her blood levels. Now, does this mean that by eating the right type of fats, the right type of carbs, then you're done with diabetes forever and you're cured? Well, if you eat that way, you can reverse your diabetes. But if you start to escalate and consume a lot of carbohydrates, you can fall back into diabetes too. And like with a lot of us, we can also be prone to it. There are millions of us who are pre-diabetic and heading towards pre-diabetes. We're going around undiagnosed. Now, also, does it mean that because you might think, well, I'm not overweight, I'm not in danger? Well, think again. Because you do not have to be obese to suffer with pre-diabetes or pre-diabetes, which is on the rise. And you know that old cliche, prevention is better than cure. Well, it really is. And we can prevent it. But let's go back and think about this. So if we could eliminate the high glucose triggering foods from our diet, where would we be? If we went back, decades and decades and looked at what we were eating then, before agricultural grain industry, this was not an epidemic then, but it is now. And by 2030, Diabetes UK have stated that we could be rising up to 5.5 million people, and at the moment it's 4.5 million. It's on the rise. 2016 there were about 3.5 million. So it's going up. We're not beating it. So after this video, a few hours after this video because it takes time to actually process the live before we can recommend the next video. You'll see a video which recommends 5 alternative starches that you can implement in your diet today if you are struggling with diabetes. But before I go, I want to show you some of the foods that I mentioned in a previous video on how to reverse diabetes. Let's look at the solutions. Let's look at the type of foods that you can implement in your diet today so you're getting a healthy, nutritious and well-balanced diet. And there's much, much more. Now, on Friday, I put out a call for 10 people to work with me around 12 weeks or less to reverse your diabetes. Today, I'm asking for 6. We have 6 more places to be able to work with you to reverse your diabetes. Just click the link below and arrange a call with me. We can discuss whether you're a right fit to see whether we can work along together. Here are the foods that I'm going to, some of the foods that I'm going to show you, because this channel is about solutions and we're not getting the solutions. We're not talking about reversing diabetes. We're just talking about going on medications, which obviously isn't helping, and you're increasing your medications, which can lead on to other side effects and ill health later on down the line. And it's absolutely crazy because it's getting out of control. So let's just look at some of the foods here that I'm going to show you that you can implement today. But I want to be able to work with you so that we can really work together to really tackle this problem and reverse type 2 diabetes, because it can be done. But people are not being given the information out there because drugs is something that's making money. There's more money in ill health, sick care, than there is real health care. And you want to be eating real foods. So when you're talking about whole grains, like, you know, I won't mention the brands, but whole grain breads, then don't contain all of the fibre you think they do. They're still highly processed. You want to eat the natural grains from nature that even after milling, they maintain all their minerals and all their fibre. So let's get started with some of the foods that I'm going to recommend tonight. So here we've got a creamy green salad dressing. Now salads, yes, we know salads are so healthy, but they're also full of fibre and nutrient dense. And people may say, well, yeah, that's okay, but I don't like salad and I'm bored of salad. Well, it's all in the types of dressings that I recommend that you can put with your salads, because I tell you why. This particular salad has a tahini dressing, and I've got tahini paste blended with basil, with a touch of lemon and salt, very simply done and drizzled over the salad. There you're getting your healthy omega-3 fats, which does not spike the blood. And of course you're getting all your fibre from your salad, and of course it's low calorie, which will help with the weight loss as well. So moving on to the second slide, we've got some savoury muffins. But in these muffins, we have the spelt flour. Now, spelt flour is an ancient grain. Get the whole wheat, which is going to be more conducive to actually supporting levels of glucose in your blood. The spelt grain is 100% whole wheat, 100% natural. It's a real food, and you can incorporate your vegetables, the proper healthy vegetables that's going to help, that's not going to spike your blood. And that's just a snack idea that you can put together really simply and take to work with you on the go when you're feeling hungry. And one of the rules is never eat when you are not hungry, no matter the time. Eat when you're hungry, and also Avoid those types of dressings that are low fat and low carb, because if they're taking out the carb and they're taking out the fat, they're adding starch. And of course, that's not good. And also the additives, which is going to spike your sugar. So the next slide, we've got a raw cacao chocolate pudding. Now you might be saying, well, how would you have a chocolate pudding and not have some sort of sweetener in there? Now this chocolate pudding it's very moussey and light because I've used chia seed, and chia seed is a high fiber food. It's also very filling, so then your blood sugar levels are stabilized. It's not spiking the blood, you're not feeling hungry quickly, it's not burning through the body quickly. And cacao is high fiber, and it's also the highest form of magnesium on the planet, so you're also feeding your body on a cellular level. And when you do that, you don't feel hungry all of the time. And you've got coconut flakes there, and you've got your blueberries, which is your natural sweets in nature. And there's also a syrup from a root vegetable called Yacon. Now Yacon is 0 calories, 0 carbs, and it's a really good alternative syrup in terms of sweetening your foods. And you can use a little of that, or you can just simply blend your pudding with your berries to get the sweetness, because berries are not going to spike your blood. They're the better fruit alternative to the sweet fruits, which do. And eating your whole fruits anyway contains the fiber, instead of juicing your apples and your carrots and other things which are going to spike your blood and it's just going to be pure sugar. So something like raw cacao is an excellent, delicious, luxury type dessert that you can have, and it's inexpensive to make. Now the next one is kale fritters. Now I love kale fritters, it's one of my favorites, and I've done this with, again, wholemeal spelt flour, and sometimes I use chickpea flour, which is also gluten-free, so that's not going to contain sugars that are going to spike your blood. It's because of the gluten-free element of it. And also I have shallow fried with sesame seed oil. But do look at the previous video on how to prevent diabetes, how to reverse diabetes and prevention, where I've listed the oils which are much better for you. So that's kale fritters. And the next one I have is a cucumber juice with sea moss. Now, cucumber is mainly water, and sea moss is actually high in fiber and high in minerals. In fact, sea moss contains 92 of the 102 minerals that our body is composed of. It also it helps to lower blood sugar because of its fiber content, and also because it's feeding you on a cellular level. It's not spiking your blood to make you feel hungry. And of course you've got the cucumber with all the water, which is a great diuretic, and it's not full of sugar, and it's not going to spike your blood, and it's very refreshing. So the next one here is a cucumber, apple, ginger and lime juice. Now how I've done this, I've actually made this juice without actually using it as a juice. I've actually blended it with all the fiber. So I added mineral water with whole cucumber, whole apple, ginger, which is anti-inflammatory, and lime juice, which is a citrus, which doesn't spike the blood at all. And that makes for a delicious drink. And it's so much better than buying these pre-sugared, artificially sweetened drinks, which are just going to send your blood sugar high, or pure juiced fruits. So the next one is a good wholesome dish. Now you've got chickpea, which is great, high in fiber. You've got your squash, which is actually a prebiotic food. And you've got kale, which is your leafy greens, you're getting your phytonutrients, you're getting your fibre. So this makes a high fibre, diabetic friendly dish. Now the next one I've got here for you is chickpea and spinach curry. And that's just a simple curry that you can do alongside a natural grain. Now with this one, I've actually got a mixed rice alternative with lentil and quinoa. Now lentil and quinoa are very full of fibre, they're high in protein, and you know that proteins go well for diabetes too in terms of levelling the blood sugar. And then of course you've got your proteins and your fibre from the kale as well. So this is a wholesome meal that you can still enjoy. And the next one is flaxseed porridge. Now flaxseed is very filling, it's full of fibre, it's full of protein. It can be eaten hot, it can be, or even cold. You can take this to work, you can have it in the morning as a hot cereal instead of oats, which can burn out into sugar, full of carbs. The flaxseed, which is a seed, has omega-3. And this is the type of fat that's going to be much better for you, because as we know, as we've established now, fats do not spike the blood, but we want the healthy fats because with diabetes too, you're prone to stroke and heart problems, heart disease. So we want to eat the healthy fats, and flaxseed you can have as an oil as well, which is an omega-3 oil, is excellent. And you've got your berries as well, which are your antioxidants, which also fight free radicals and don't spike the blood like other types of sweet fruits. The next one we have is the list of the oils. Now let's have a look at that list here that I've put together for you, and you can see in the previous video the list of oils, but I'm going to flag up the another video where I mentioned 5 starch alternatives, which will be the better carbs that you can actually implement in your diet. So we've got here for diabetic friendly oils, flaxseed, coconut, sesame, almond, hemp, olive and macadamia. And you want to avoid things like the canola and the soybean, corn oils, sunflower oils, as well as safflower, and those other cheap ones they call just vegetable oil, which has got a mixture of all kinds of different refined oils. And again, here we are again. The high fibre, diabetic friendly fruit are your berries. Berries are your friends. Berries fight free radicals because they're full of antioxidants, full of vitamin C. They are nature's sweets, and they're your friend when you are suffering with diabetes too. Stick to your berries of all kinds. You can even have blueberries, you know, on your desk at work and have them as a snack. So we've also got here the Yacon syrup, which I mentioned, and Yacon syrup comes from a root vegetable, and it's a tuber. And as you can see, it's a very dark syrup. I think we've got a picture of the tuber. Let's see if I have. Here it is. And the tuber is used to make this thick, rich, dark syrup, which does not contain sugar. It doesn't act as a sugar in the blood because this is a root vegetable. And it has 0 calories, 0 carbs, which is excellent. Here I've got dairy-free ice cream, and I actually did a video showing you how to make an easy peasy 2-step process making your own dairy-free ice cream. And it's just simply using frozen banana and frozen fruits. Now with type 2 diabetes, I recommend you use plantain. And use the ones that are semi-ripe, not fully ripe. But even if you use the fully ripe, it's still lower on the glycemic index than banana, and that could be a rare treat. But believe you me, you can still blend green banana with the fruits and still get ice cream. You can put a little Yacon in it, or you can just keep your berries, which will sweeten it just fine. You don't actually need any sugar. And then of course you can top it with mixed nuts, which is another protein, which has got your omega-3s, which is your fats, which is great because they don't spike the blood, and it's got protein. So you're still getting a nice balance of nutrients. Again, banana bread. I've made this with wholemeal spelt flour and banana, but using plantain as an alternative to the normal sweet fruit banana is lower on the glycemic index. And of course you've got the 100% whole wheat grain, which maintains all its minerals and fibre. Low starch vegetables. Now those will be mainly your cruciferous vegetables, you know, your cabbages, your cauliflower, your broccoli. Those are very good for people suffering with type 2. Now here's a dairy-free omelette, and I'm telling you, it's very convincing. It's absolutely delicious, and I do have a video which I made a few years ago showing you how to make a dairy-free omelette using chickpea flour, of all things. And it's the chickpea flour batter that you use as the egg supplement. And you just season that how you would do your normal eggs, and add in any types of vegetables. Here I've got courgette, which is excellent for diabetes too. Trail mix. Now that's a tricky one because it comes under the guise of healthy food, but it contains a lot of dried fruits, which can actually spike your sugar levels. However, you can make your own trail mix and have that on the go, sprinkle it over your cereals and put it in your breads, and you can put in sesame seeds and almonds and pumpkin seeds. Also, the one more seed I'm thinking of, pumpkin seed, as well as the almonds as well. Or you could even use unsweetened flakes of coconut, which is good. And there you're going to get your omega-3s, which is your healthy fats. Here I've done a vegetable burger. So you can avoid those red meats that are not heart healthy, and also carcinogenic. And this burger I did in a previous video, and I made the spelt bun as well. Now I used the chickpea flour to make the burger bun itself, so it doesn't contain any gluten. There's no white flour involved, and I put in some spinach and made the bun with wholemeal spelt. So you can still enjoy these things, guys. You know, still healthy, good, wholesome food, and still be able to enjoy the things you love. Why not try courgette zoodles? We don't have to go with conventional pastas with durum wheat, semolina, all those things, couscouses and things like that. We can spiralize courgette and have that as a noodle replacement to pasta. And here I've done it with a Thai curry, red Thai curry sauce, which is absolutely excellent. And I'll come on camera and I'll show you how to make some of these sauces that you can put over zoodles, and make a few dishes around the 2nd and 3rd of June, because I'm going to be away on a trip to visit family, but I'm going to pre-record 2 videos where I'm going to show you some good meal ideas using cruciferous vegetables, using the zoodles, and how to make the sauce as well, which can also go in your salads to make them a lot more interesting. Here we've got the wholemeal spelt bread, And there's other flours that you can use. You can use coconut flour, you can use almond flour, you can use teff, you can use fonio, you can use kamut. But as long as you're using, in moderation, 100% whole wheat, proper, real grains, ancient grains, not the refined flour grains, and the brown bread, which doesn't always have the 100% fibre and is still processed. And I have done a video on that too, guys. So have a look at how I make my wholemeal spelt bread. And here's another one. Now, although this isn't a grain, you can have pea pasta. Don't have to have the conventional high carb type pastas. You can use even chickpea pasta and lentil pasta. But this is lentil pasta with courgette and tomato, which makes for a lovely meal. And then of course there's quinoa. Now quinoa has the highest amount of amino acids in any one grain. So you're feeding your body on a cellular level. You're staying fuller for longer. It's balancing those glucose levels in your blood. And it's a high protein. And protein goes well to help prevent and reverse diabetes too when you're eating this way. And then I've just got it with some chickpeas and a side salad. Millet. Have you heard of millet? Here's another great rice or grain alternative if you want. You can have it with roasted vegetables tossed through with your millet. And I remember introducing this to a woman called Jackie who was pre-diabetic. And when I mentioned this to her, she said, Carol, it's actually helped me to prevent myself from being in the range of diabetes too, because millet has been a great alternative to the rice that I was eating. Now, millet is something that birds eat and it's full of minerals and it can taste absolutely delicious. It's light, it's fluffy, and it's filling. When you eat this way, you will find when you open up your mind to a whole new world of food, you will realize there is another way. You can enjoy your foods and you can actually enjoy an abundance of foods, probably more than what you were eating before with your staples. Now, Bulgar wheat. I love Bulgar wheat. Bulgar wheat is extremely filling, it's high fibre, and despite its name wheat, it's actually a grain. So this is absolutely great, and it doesn't spike the blood like rice. Again, it's full of fibre, it's absolutely delicious, and to make it even more delicious, my tip is to pan roast it before you boil it. I'm going to show you how you can do that in a Caribbean style using beans, which is great because then you've got the beans as a high protein with the bulgur wheat, and that really makes a lovely filling dish that's not going to spike your blood. Here we've got the apple, ginger, cucumber smoothie. So again, this is all blended whole. You don't have to juice everything. So if you're having, make sure you have the apple though with the skin on, that's important. Lemon juice, you can't go wrong with lemon juice. Citrus fruits are great for blood sugar levels. You can simply blend it with water, and you can, if you want to sweeten it a little, you can add a touch of Yacon. And there you are. And you can pour it over a little bit over your salads as well. Ginger tea is great. It's anti-inflammatory. It's a root. And it's also great in terms of having as a beverage because it does not affect the level of your glucose levels in the blood. So this can be another alternative juice to the type of fresh squeezed juices that you get in the supermarkets. And have you ever seen prickly pear? I mean, I used to see this a lot and I never really tried it. And when I did, I was blown away by the taste of this fruit. And it's got a lovely mild sweetness to it, and it absolutely tastes great and refreshing as a juice. And this is a diabetic friendly fruit. It's full of fibre, you can use it to actually make a juice with it. So again, this is another great type of beverage that you can make that's diabetic friendly and absolutely delicious. Now that's quite a range of foods and juices that you can really be implementing today. So that's it, guys. Those are just some of my suggestions, and there's so much more. Now I've worked as an allergy chef, cooking for children from 3 months to 5 years. So I work with people who suffer with allergies. So if you're suffering with diabetes, which is hard enough to deal with, but you've got food intolerance as well, then I'm going to be able to work with you to help you to get to your goal. And we can reverse diabetes too. And if you've been told that you're going to be on medication for the rest of your life, that's not true. There is a way forward, and I need 6 more people now. We've had people who've come through on phone calls. I'm speaking to someone else again tonight, so that might be 5 people. But at the moment, there's places open for 6 committed health seekers that want to reverse type 2 diabetes. And if you're suffering with insulin intolerance and you're trying to get your weight down and the levels of insulin are preventing that, you've tried everything, it could be it most likely will be a hormonal problem caused by insulin. Get in touch with me and click the link below so you can arrange to have a chat with me and we can see whether this is the right fit for you. Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and I look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at 6 o'clock. But don't forget, in a few hours, we're going to upload the previous video where it will show you 5 starch alternatives. Thank you for watching and take care.